In ancient Greece, the philosopher Diogenes lived inside a barrel with only a few dogs for company. He owned nothing but his freedom. One day, Alexander the Great offered him anything he wished. Diogenes simply replied, "Move out of my sunlight." Later, Alexander admitted, "If I were not Alexander, I would choose to be Diogenes." Why would the ruler of empires envy a man with no possessions and no home? Because Diogenes held something no amount of wealth or power could provide: complete control over his own life. This story points to a truth that has been buried for centuries. The greatest thinkers, the most dangerous creators, the empire builders who reshaped the world all shared the same hidden insight. And modern society has spent decades teaching us that this insight is not strength but weakness. But what if everything you were told is reversed? What if what you have been taught to avoid is actually the ultimate source of strength? Nietzsche understood this. He gave us a test so uncompromising it unsettles anyone who faces it: eternal recurrence. If you had to live your exact life over and over forever, would you accept it? Most people recoil at the thought. They are living a script written by someone else, making compromises that are not their own. Yet there are others who would smile and say yes every time. What separates them? What did the great philosophers know that the rest of us overlook? Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. More video will coming soon. Nietzsche once wrote that one must have chaos within in order to give birth to a dancing star. Most people are not living their own lives. They are sleepwalking through scripts designed by others, following paths that feel safe but leave them empty. Marriage often becomes the ultimate symbol of this surrender. It represents stability, predictability, and a form of domestication. But Nietzsche's idea of the Übermensch, the higher man, is not some comic book hero. He is the individual with the courage to create his own values, to move beyond society's categories, and to stand as the author of his own morality. This journey demands solitude, not loneliness, but solitude. There is a crucial difference. Loneliness is the pain of those who cannot stand with themselves, who depend on the eyes of others to confirm their worth. Solitude is the natural ground of creators, the state in which true power is born. Arthur Schopenhauer, one of the great philosophers of the 19th century, never married. He lived with almost monastic discipline. His days were shaped by writing in the morning, long walks in the afternoon, and evenings spent with books and his beloved poodle. Critics often called him bitter and misanthropic, but Schopenhauer knew something essential. A man can only be himself when he is alone, and if he does not love solitude, he will never love freedom. Think about the contrast. Would Napoleon have conquered Europe if every decision required the approval of Josephine? Would Einstein have rewritten the laws of physics if he had been consumed with social obligations and date nights? The truth is simple. Marriage demands compromise, while greatness demands conviction. Relationships require consensus, while innovation requires a single vision. Marriage asks you to be half of something, while the path to true creation asks you to be whole. Nietzsche's central idea, the will to power, flows very differently in men who stand alone. For the solitary individual, that energy is not drained by endless negotiations with a partner. It is directed into creation, into achievement, into the hard work of self-overcoming. The single man receives no medals from society, no constant approval, no reassuring feedback. His only judge is himself. He must learn to be his own compass, his own critic, his own inspiration. Paradoxically, that is exactly where greatness begins. Nietzsche himself never married, and he channeled all his passion into philosophy that still shakes the world to this day. His amor fati, his love of fate, was possible only because his fate was entirely his own. When you embrace this path, something fundamental shifts. You begin to see life in the light of mortality. Death walks beside you every moment. hidden in the silence between heartbeats, waiting behind every breath. The Stoics understood this. Memento mori, remember you must die, was not for them a dark obsession, but the greatest fuel for the soul. When you grasp how short life truly is, everything changes. Every moment spent managing another person's emotions becomes a moment stolen from your own becoming. Marcus Aurelius ruled one of the greatest empires in history, yet the wisdom for which he is remembered was not born in courtrooms or conversations with his wife. It came from his private meditations, written in solitude. Alone with his thoughts, he wrestled with the weight of existence and uncovered truths that married men rarely encounter. His philosophy can be summed up in one line: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Now ask yourself, how can a man who ties his peace of mind to another person's moods ever find real strength? How can he build sovereignty if his stability is destroyed by relationship drama? The single man focuses only on what he can control: his thoughts, his actions, his responses. The married man breaks this rule every day. He exhausts himself trying to manage what cannot be controlled: another person's emotions and choices. Consider Socrates, perhaps the wisest figure of the ancient world. He was married to Xanthippe, a woman known for her harsh temper and endless complaints. When asked why he endured it, Socrates replied, "If you can live with her, you can live with anyone." Notice what he did not say. He did not say she made him happier or more fulfilled. For him, marriage became a form of training, an exercise in patience. But is that what you want? To spend your most intimate relationship as a testing ground for tolerance, using your precious and finite time to manage chaos instead of creating order? The Stoics knew a truth we have forgotten. Real peace cannot be negotiated with another person. It cannot be kept alive through compromise. It comes only through mastery of the self, and mastery requires attention that cannot be given when your energy is consumed by another's storms. Epictetus taught that we are actors in a play. We cannot choose the role, but we can choose how to perform it. The married man accepts a role where every performance is meant for an audience of one: his partner. The single man writes his own script. The emperor who wakes before dawn does not rise because someone expects him to. He rises because his work demands clarity, and clarity is born from undivided attention. This is the essence of freedom. When you stop outsourcing your peace of mind to another human being, you become unshakable, not because life cannot hurt you, but because nothing outside of you can control you. That is the difference, and that difference is everything. Imagine yourself standing in a vast desert. No map, no guide, no compass. Only you, the endless horizon, and the heavy realization that your freedom has no limits. Every direction is open. Every decision belongs to you. Every mistake is your fault alone. Every triumph is yours to claim. This is what Sartre described as existential freedom. It is the recognition that you are condemned to be free. Most people cannot handle this. The weight of freedom terrifies them, so they run straight into the safety of marriage. They exchange the vastness of the open desert for the narrow walls of a shared home, where choices are negotiated, paths are predetermined, and freedom is traded for the illusion of security. But what if this so-called burden is not a curse but a gift? Sartre believed that existence comes before essence. You exist first, and only then do you create who you are through your choices. Marriage disrupts this process. It pushes men to define themselves through roles: husband, partner, provider. These are not identities but masks. The authentic man refuses these masks. He chooses who he is moment by moment, without apology, without the need for external validation. Emily Dickinson, the great American poet, understood this truth. She never married. From Solitude, she wrote verses that still touch hearts across the world. "I am nobody. Who are you?" she asked. For her, withdrawing from society was not emptiness but infinite possibility. By rejecting the definitions forced upon her, she discovered the voice that was truly hers. Albert Camus spoke of the absurd, the tension between humanity's hunger for meaning and the silence of the universe. His answer was rebellion, to live with such freedom that existence itself became a form of defiance. To Camus, the only way to face an unfree world was to become so free that your very life was a statement. Marriage, however loving it may appear, is still a contract with limitation. It binds your choices to another's needs. It demands that you compromise vision for the sake of harmony. Henry David Thoreau came to the same realization. He withdrew to Walden Pond, not to flee from people, but to discover what he truly needed in order to live. I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, he wrote. Deliberately means with clarity, with intention, with freedom of choice. Marriage makes such deliberate living nearly impossible. You are constantly pulled into the orbit of another's moods, needs, and compromises. Thoreau discovered he needed very little to be happy. A cabin, simple food, books, and the depth of his own mind. A married man, on the other hand, discovers he needs more and more. A house that satisfies two tastes, furniture that matches two opinions, activities that work for two personalities. Needs multiply because they are no longer his own. They are negotiations.